Monkey D. Garp, the hero of the Marines, has just been defeated and will die in his battle against the Blackbeard Pirates.
Why, Lord? Why, Lord? Why?
Yup, an entire crew of Yonko commanders and a former admiral were needed to take down this one man who only has his fist. But even then, they had to use underhanded tricks to achieve this feat.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Now, with his grandpa getting clapped, Luffy ain't sitting still. So with chapter 1087, we jump back to the events of chapter 1081, where Garp was showing us his absolute dominance with his Conqueror's Haki-infused Galaxy Impact and Blue Hole punches. And lucky for us, we too can now become freaks of nature by following Garp's workout routine of using marine battleships as punching bags. But it wasn't just Garp who did this training. His current opponent and former pupil Aokichi trained right beside him. To make things even more insane, Garp's training regime is beyond broken, as they weren't punching the ships with hockey hands or even devil fruit powers. The rule was that they could only use their bare hands. You know, after learning this, it's no surprise that a hockey-infused punch from Garp would be able to destroy a whole town in chapter 1080. Like, is it crazy? But back to Full Elite Island though, Garp is still in control of the battle where he has thrown San Juan Wolf into the sea. Although we don't see how Garp managed this, the feat itself gives him even more points for his strength. As if punching battleships every morning wasn't enough. This is actually crazy because Wolf is over 180 meters tall. For comparison, you guys remember Oars Jr. from Marineford who was making giants look like normal people? Well, he was only 60 meters tall. This tells us that if Garp was serious and throwing hands in Marineford, he could have single-handedly thrown Oars out to the sea, leading to the Whitebeard Pirates' defeat. Now, Wolf might have been dealt with, but Garp still has the rest of the crew jumping him. With his decades of fighting experience, he uses their numbers against them when Vasco Shot spits fire at him using an attack called Heavy Drinker Furnace Flame. But Garp has his own special counter move called Pirate Fireball. Now you might think this attack is a punch which is so fast that it creates fireballs against the pirates, but nope. But Garp instead blocks Vasco's attack using the bodies of the fodder Blackbeard Pirates and then throws the burning bodies around, causing the entire town to flare up. With the exception of Kobe, Grus, and Helmeppo, Garp's ship has already sailed off the coast with the sword members and marine prisoners. This tells us that Garp is using himself as a diversion for his fellow pupils to escape. Grus seems to understand this sentiment as he asks Garp if he is the future of the Marines too, giving us a hint that when Garp decided to solo rampage onto the island, he likely knew about his fate, that not even one of, if not the strongest Marine ever could escape the capital base of a Yonko alone. However, if he didn't go, then everyone who had been taken captive, including his favorite Kobe, would be dead, as we already know Akainu and the rest of the Marine High Command didn't have this rescue mission at the top of their priority list. So the old man tells Kobe, Grus, and Helmeppo to run while he holds the rest of the Blackbeard Pirates back, because Kuzan has stood up once more even after tanking Blue Hole. But Kobe sees a baddie in need, so the dog inside him jumps to her aid only to find out that she was a pirate all along. Like, dude, you are inside the pirate island. We just found out all of your friends and the Marines are in the ship except you four. So who you gonna save?
Are you stupid or something?
With Kobe distracted by the prank of the century, Shiryu, using his invisible fruit powers, sneaks up on our boy, but just as he's about to stab him, Garp blocks the blade with his own body.
Wait.
Yep, it turns out that this entire moment was part of Shiryu's plan to not go after Kobe, but Garp instead, as he anticipated him to come save one of his students. But Garp ain't taking this hit lying down, as he grabs Shiryu and slams him onto the ground with all of his strength. Honestly, this guy is a rat. Like, it's already a handicapped fight, and he still can't play fair. But it does make sense considering he has the sneakiest of all devil fruits. This moment of Shiryu using distractions to strike kind of makes him seem a bit more competent as a fighter, as he didn't just go invisible and tried landing a hit. Because with Garp's observation hockey, he would have been found out instantly. Garp even states that he knew that he was the target, meaning he foresaw what was about to happen, but he gotta save his boy Kobe. He's the future of the Marines. Seeing a weakened Garp, all the Blackbeard pirates start attacking him. In this mayhem, we also find out Garp's true Marine bounty set by Cross Guild being 3 crowns or 3 billion berries, which is comparable to an admiral's bounty. Although bounties aren't a true representation of one's strength, as notoriety plays a big factor too, this could be a hint by Oda telling us where the Marine organization stands in opposition to the Yonkos and Luffy. It honestly makes sense for an admiral to have a bounty similar to what Luffy is right now, because just last chapter we saw a whole new cast of strong characters in the Gorosei, Figureland, and the God's Knights. These guys are supposed to rank higher than the admirals in the government food chain, so it makes sense for admiral bounties to be less than a seasoned Yonkos like Kaido, Big Mom, or Shanks. Coming back to the chapter though, we see a flashback to a young Garp where he meets Kuzan for the very first time. Now, Kuzan wants the hero of the Marines to train him, but Garp tells him to leave him the hell alone. And guess what Kuzan does?
How about no?
So Kuzan starts to imitate Garp instead by punching the battleships just like it. As days pass, Kuzan's punch starts to become stronger and stronger until one day when his punch sounds as loud as Garp's. Through his show of unwavering will, Kuzan gains Garp's respect and they start getting closer with one another. So close, in fact, that Garp even felt comfortable enough to complain about his family to him when they ate snacks together. Garp laments that his son has become a revolutionary and his grandson wants to become a pirate. But Kuzan is confused and annoyed, asking, what the hell does that have to do with him? Why is this old ass dude talking about this to me? Just teach me how to punch harder. But this gives us a hint to the gravity of Garp and Kuzan's relationship. With his family's goals and way of sailing life in direct opposition from Garp's own as a Marine, he had found solace in his pupil Kuzan, who you could say had become a part of his family now too. This very act of Garp's family's defiance against the Marines and the government likely is the reason why he's so hell-bent on fostering a bright new future generation for the Marines, because he wanted his child and grandchild to follow in its footsteps and give his meaning to the words of justice written behind a Marine's coat. But that didn't go as planned. So Garp has felt alone in his pursuit of justice until Kuzan, Kobe, Helmeppo, and the rest of Sword became part of his family. Like, even in his own so-called home with the Marines, Garp is lonely, as shown by the countless times he has rejected the promotion to Admiral. And this is all due to Garp understanding and seeing the gray in the world, where good Marines and bad Marines can exist at the same time, as well as good pirates and bad pirates. So he could never bring himself to be the head of an organization that only saw things as black and white. For example, Garp, after fighting alongside and against Roger for decades, saw the good in him and his crew. That's why he chose to take care of Roger's son Ace, while the Marines wanted to find and kill Ace. However, if he was an admiral, then he would be under the thumb of the Celestial Dragons and would be forced to carry out similar actions to what we saw Kainu do in Ohara, where an entire island is destroyed just because they seeked knowledge. We see the same sentiment shine through Kuzan, where due to Garp's teachings, he decided to save Robin, an innocent child, and later fought against Akainu's idea of absolute justice. So Kuzan's betrayal must be an even greater wound than what Shiryu has given him. But Garp can't even catch a break, as Kuzan covers his hand with a technique called Ice Glove, and they both punch each other's faces with haki, creating a giant explosion of black lightning, confirming that Kuzan also possesses Conqueror's Haki. With both of them thrown away to the ground, Avado Pizarro brings 2 huge arms from the island using his Island Devil Fruit powers and is about to crush the fleeing Marine ship. But Garp can't do anything as he's lying on the ground all bloodied up. It's likely that if Shiryu doesn't injure him, then that blue glove punch from Kuzan wouldn't have been as effective, but with a broken body, Garp can only do so much, especially going up against the top commanders of a Yonko's crew all alone. However, I don't think this fight is over yet because Garp cannot fail again. This man has failed too much in life already. As a father, his son turned into the world's worst criminal. As a grandpa, he let one of his grandsons in Ace die right in front of him, and his other grandson is also in opposition to him. As a mentor, one of his greatest pupils has forsaken the Marines, which he holds so dear, and now that very pupil is threatening to destroy the last piece of future Garp has carved in his image in Kobe and Sword. He even tells Kobe at the end that he shouldn't worry because justice will prevail. So I'm sure Garp will get back up for a one final last standoff to let everyone escape, albeit likely resulting in him losing his freedom or even death. And this death could be the catalyst for Luffy versus Blackbeard. Although not following the same path of justice like his grandfather, Luffy still loves him dearly, and the Blackbeard Pirates hurting Garp would make things even more personal for Luffy. Not only did Blackbeard have a hand in his brother getting tricked and killed, but now his crew has just messed with his grandpa. Remember that Luffy only fights with his heart when it's one of his nakama or someone he cares about being in trouble. For example, in Wano, Luffy cared so deeply for the country because Kaido was hurting his friend Tama, Momonosuke, and Kinemon. Furthermore, the fight against Doflamingo was fueled through Luffy becoming friends with Rebecca and learning about his ally, or in Luffy's head, his friend Law's grievance towards Dofi. So Luffy's own grandfather being hurt or captured by the Blackbeard Pirates would let us witness Luffy teaming up with Kobe and even Law, as Teach has wrecked his whole crew and he's already an honorary member of the Straw Hats, creating a triple threat attack against Blackbeard. But there is also a possibility that Garp's old friends in Suru and Sengoku will show up to defend him, as we saw them learn about Garp's actions in chapter 1082. They have known Garp for the longest time and are his closest friends, meaning they know how reckless he can be, so them showing up isn't that far-fetched. It would honestly be quite poetic for the oldest generation of the Marines who fought Roger and Rox to put everything on the line and shielding the light of the future from going out in Kobe, Groose, and Helmeppo. But if you want to know more about Garp and his entire life, including his fight in God Valley with Rox, then click the video on screen.